If you focus on these 7 food groups and intentionally incorporating them into your diet, it can have a huge impact on your seasonal affective disorder by helping you regulate your serotonin both in the gut and in the brain. So grab your shopping list, pull out your menu, and let's get started. Do you want to achieve your goals, but anxiety is tripping you up? Like to keep those fun weekend plans, but depression has you counseling again? Hey, I'm Lori, dog mom, lover of nature, and hygge enthusiast. Positive psychology skills help me overcome chronic severe PTSD. If you're ready to learn how to overcome your anxiety and depression and rediscover happiness and purpose in life, then get your cozy on and let's get started. I am so excited to announce that we have a brand new email address where you can reach us, and that is at info@practicalsolutionsforptsd.com. Reach out, contact us, ask us any questions that you have, provide feedback, comments. We'd love to hear from you. With the arrival of our new email, we also will be sending out the newsletter this week. Yay! So if you would like to be the first to know about group classes that are coming out, workshops, or if you want to have additional information on topics that we cover, or just a little love note from me once a week, be sure to sign up for our newsletter. The link is in the comments below, and I'm looking forward to hearing from you. As we get into October, we're hitting that second month where seasonal affective disorder, for those of us that have it in the fall and winter, is starting to kick in just a little bit more. And so I want to be able to give you some effective tools that you can use as you're heading into our large eating months. When you get into Halloween and Thanksgiving and Christmas and New Year's, where we tend to eat so much food, and a lot of it not necessarily good for us. But here's some things that you can do that can help you approach this season mindfully, making conscious and purposeful decisions during this season to help support your mental health and make it a little bit better. So, as I mentioned before in an earlier podcast, seasonal affective disorder is largely tied to hormonal regulation within our system. As most of that depends on it's affecting your serotonin levels, which is a feel-good hormone largely produced in the gut. And it also impacts your melatonin, which is another hormone that makes you sleep at night and is affected by how much sunlight you're getting. And so in the wintertime, it tends to tick up because we're not getting enough light. Well, today I want to talk to you about nutrition, so we're going to focus more on the serotonin. And there are some specific things that you can do to help your body support your serotonin production. Now, as I've mentioned, serotonin, 90% of it is produced in the gut, and there's a very clear, distinct link between your gut health and your brain health. So if you can support your gut health as well as directly supporting your brain health, but supporting your gut health is going to have a direct impact on your mood and your mental capacity, cognitive, behavioral, etc., because there's such a direct link between the two of them. And we want to be able to support that. So there's some eating habits that we want to avoid, but then there's 7 really good foods that we can incorporate into our diet that's going to help us combat the seasonal affective disorder. So one thing you're going to want to avoid is emotional eating. And trust me, I know how much you want to eat those bad foods when you're in a bad mood. I remember one time going to the doctor and my mood I was having such a hard time with it. And so I asked him, I'm like, when I'm in this bad mood, I really am craving sugar. Chocolate's my favorite source of that. But afterwards, I feel like I'm even more depressed. So is sugar having a negative impact on my dopamine, which is another feel-good hormone? And he said, absolutely. When you initially eat the sugar, it will spike your dopamine, but then afterwards it drops it even lower than it was before. And the same thing happens with your insulin. When you eat too much sugar, your insulin will spike and then it will drop, taking your mood right along with it. So you want to avoid that emotional eating because it's going to make it worse in the long run. Maybe have a little bit if you're really craving. For me, I've learned I can have dark chocolate. This is 72% or higher. Eat a little bit of it, eat it slowly. I get the benefit from it without spiking my blood sugar and without spiking my dopamine. So you want to be careful with your emotional eating. They've also found some common links in evening snacking. So I love a good snack at night. So this is a little tough one to maintain. But if you eat too late at night, it can actually interrupt your sleep. and cause mood disturbances. And sleep is such an important part of staying healthy mentally and emotionally. So you don't want to disrupt that. So avoiding those evening snacks, it would be a huge key in doing that. Tying right into that is eating large late night meals. So you want your larger meals to be earlier in the day, because overeating, you have a risk of overeating and also depression when you're eating those really late night meals that are really large. Interestingly, an extremely low carb diet can impact emotional health, and they actually recommend avoiding this, like a keto style diet, which is super, super low in carbs. One, it can be harder on women, so there's always something to look into before you commit to that. But if you're fighting depression and specifically seasonal affective disorder, you want to be really careful with that because you get a lot of nutrients in carbs that help your mental and emotional stability. So just be cautious and be aware of that because it could reduce your serotonin production, which for those of us that are struggling with seasonal affective disorder, we already have a decreased serotonin production. That's part of the whole point. And we don't want to make that worse by cutting out healthy carbs that can help us produce that serotonin. Excessive alcohol consumption is another thing that can impact seasonal affective disorder, along with a whole bunch of other things. But it affects your central nervous system, which can lead to mood alteration. So this is going to be any form of depression. Well, alcohol is actually a depressant. So if you're drinking too much alcohol, it's going to make your depression even worse. And then, sadly, is excessive caffeine intake. Like, oh no. This is particularly hard for me to control in the wintertime because it's cold and I want hot drinks. And my favorite hot drink is a good cup of black tea. Absolutely love it. But unfortunately, too much caffeine is also a mood and sleep disruptor, and it can make the seasonal affective disorder worse. So you want to be able to restrict how much caffeine you're getting in your system. Make sure it's early in the day so it's not affecting your sleep. If you know your body well enough, you can often pick up when the caffeine, when you need to cut it off, at what point it's going to impact your sleep. So being very conscious and aware of that can help you monitor and avoid any kind of mood changes that are related. So now on to the things that you can focus on incorporating. This is what you want to do. The 7 kinds of food that you can incorporate into your diet that can help you with your mental health and make it better. The first one, we've actually mentioned this before, but I'm going to stress it again here because it's tied to food, and that is vitamin D. Now, you can get vitamin D from sun exposure, which is one reason why it drops in the winter because you're getting less of it. You can also get it from a really good quality supplement, and I would stress good quality, but you can get it from food. So if you just incorporate some really healthy food like egg yolks, do not throw your egg yolks away. You want them pasture raised, but your egg yolks can be just so rich with nutrients, including vitamin D, that can help you combat seasonal affective disorder. And things like fatty fish. So that would be salmon, tuna, sardines, mackerel. All these are going to have a high, good quality vitamin D and omega-3s, which we're going to get through to in a minute. But fatty fish is a fantastic way of getting really good, healthy nutrients in your system that can help you combat seasonal affective disorder by getting your vitamin D levels up. And then, of course, you have fortified milk or dairy stuff. You can get some vitamin D from that as well. So some fantastic ways, again, you can supplement that out as well by getting a really good quality vitamin D supplement. And as I said, fatty fish, we're going to hit this again because omega-3s, so your EPAs and DHAs from your fatty fish and your omega-3s can really help with your mood stabilization. Seasonal affective disorder and depression in general is less prevalent in people who consume higher amounts of omega-3s. So you can do this again through supplementation. In fact, at one point, my doctor had me on 6 omega-3 pills a day. Not recommended for everybody by any means. You definitely want to talk to your doctor before you do that. But omega-3s can really help with mood regulation. So they can help with that serotonin production. And also it directly supports the brain and your brain health because your brain needs a lot of healthy fats to be able to function properly. So getting those healthy fats from foods like walnuts, fantastic way to support the brain. Flaxseed, hemp, and those fatty fish again, like we mentioned before. So salmon, tuna, mackerel, etc. Fantastic way to incorporate some of that into your system and making sure you're getting plenty of omega 3s. Another really good way to support your mental health through food is fermented foods. Now, we've talked about this before. We stressed it already, the fact that there is a really strong link between your gut and your brain health. And so you want to be able to support your gut as much as possible. And one really good way to do that is through fermented food. In fact, I think it's Hippocrates, the father of modern medicine, had a quote where he used to say, let your food be medicine and your medicine be food. As much as possible, you need to nurture your body through the food that you eat. And fermented foods is a fantastic way of doing that and takes you back to more ancient medicine traditions and what they used to do back in the day. So some really good fermented food would be like sauerkraut, refrigerated pickles, kimchi, regular yogurt, as well as kefir and kefir yogurt, kombucha, and other fermented or pickled vegetables. So I don't do all of these because some of them I just don't really like. But you can find some that you do like, or you can just kind of plug your nose and shove it down like medicine if you want to do it that way. I don't particularly care for store-bought sauerkraut, but I really like the homemade one. I find it refreshing. It's really good. Fantastic way to help you combat too much sugar in your diet. Refrigerated pickles, I enjoy that. I have kefir almost every single day. Kombucha, again, I prefer the homemade kind. There is some store-bought kombucha I like. I prefer the homemade kombucha, but it can be really good. And then there's a lot of other ways that you can ferment your vegetables. And I'll put a link in the comments to someone that I can't remember. I know her first name is Dawn, but she does really, really good fermented foods. Has been in it for over 20 years, has fantastic recipes and resources that you can use. And no kickback here. She doesn't even know I exist. But I will put a link to her website in the comments below so you can pursue that and look into enriching your fermented foods. But it's a fantastic way of supporting your your gut health. So it increases diversity of microbiome and gets you all kinds of other lovely stuff in your gut. It can help you increase the production of serotonin and a lot of other things that can help with your mood stabilization. Another thing that you need for brain health is zinc. Zinc is really good about supporting the health of your brain, including behavior, learning, and mental functions. And there are some foods, obviously, again, you can get supplementation for that. Again, make sure it's good quality, but there's food that has zinc in it as well. So you can get some oysters, crabs, red meat, poultry, liver. You'd have to be really desperate, in my opinion, to eat liver. Pumpkin seeds and nuts. All fantastic ways to get some zinc in there, as well as some other really good nutrients. Obviously, protein is going to be in that, and you're going to see some of these repeated in the vitamin B section. But zinc is a really important mineral that you're going to need in your diet to be able to support your brain health, and which then supports your mood. So, fantastic way to be able to support your brain. Another one that's really, really important for more than just mood stabilization is vitamin B. Now, vitamin B supports a lot of other functions in your body. There's a lot of second, third order effects to having low vitamin B. So this is something that's pretty important, and you want to make sure that you're getting enough in your system one way or another. So in the B complex family, there are three that specifically impact mood and cognitive function, and that would be B6, B9 folate, and B12. So a deficiency or inadequacy in any of these can risk depression, including SADS. So obviously more than one form of depression, but it can have a direct impact on seasonal affective disorder. So some vitamin B6 rich foods include dairy, tuna, salmon, beef, and potatoes, while leafy greens, vegetables, fruit, and nuts and grains contain folate. Your B12 is only found naturally in animal products. So the best source would be red meat, liver again, clams, oysters, and fish. So making sure that you have vitamin B in your diet one way or another. If you can't get all the food in, making sure that you're getting a really good quality vitamin B supplement. B complex would be really important to your overall health. and specifically to combating seasonal affective disorder. Another important food to have in your diet is tryptophan, which is an essential amino acid and is a precursor to serotonin, which is, again, your feel-good or happy hormone. So you want to make sure that you're getting enough of your tryptophan in your diet. Now, one very common one that we know we can find it in is turkey, which is one reason why when you have a lot of turkey at Thanksgiving, it may make you sleepy afterwards. But it's found in the highest amounts in cheddar and Parmesan cheese, lobster, octopus, crab, oats, soybeans, and wheat germ. So my friend would love to know that she's getting tryptophan through her cheddar and Parmesan cheese. She's a huge cheese fan. So being able to consume your tryptophan that way to make sure you're getting that as a precursor for serotonin would be a great way to help combat seasonal affective disorder. The last group we're going to look at is low glycemic carbs. Now, I mentioned earlier that you want to be careful if you're dealing with depression, and as we're talking specifically about seasonal affective disorder, that you want to be careful going too low carb with your keto style dieting. But you also want to make sure that your carbs that you're eating are low glycemic. You don't want the ones that are going to spike your blood sugar right away. So like simple white breads are going to, they're a simple carb. It's going to spike those blood sugars. Chips are another one that would spike those blood sugars because they're very simple. They're not complex. You want a complex carb that will help your body have that nutrients without spiking the blood sugar. Carbohydrates are essential for naturally stimulating the production of serotonin. And so you want to be able to get some of these into your diet because low serotonin, again, if it increases the rates of mood disorder to include seasonal affective disorder. So getting some ones that are the high fiber, low sugar carbohydrates in your system, the fiber rich, you want lots of fiber in there. Low glycemic carbs can really help you to be able to get that stuff, the food that you need to be able to stimulate your serotonin production. So you're looking at things like sweet potatoes. Sweet potatoes are a fantastic source of low glycemic complex carbs, and they're very nutrient dense. They're really good for you. Cooked or cooled potatoes, lentils, beans, vegetables, most fruit, specifically berries. Berries are low glycemic, and they also have lots of nutrients and a lot of other stuff in it besides just giving you the complex carbs. Quinoa, buckwheat, steel-cut oats, all these would support that. Now, something I have found that is really helpful for me, I make my own sourdough bread, which, by the way, would be your fermented foods as well. Yay! I use sprouted spelt flour, and I have found it to be very beneficial. One, it gives you nutrients that you don't get from normal bread. And then the fermentation process will consume most, if not all, of the gluten that is still present in the sprouted spelt. And with the sprouting process, it breaks down the outer shell to the grain, which gives you more immediate access to the nutrients of the wheat. Sprouted spelt is a type of wheat, and it gives you more immediate access to that nutrients. And I have found eating my sourdough bread that I make here at home really, really helps me out. It keeps my mood regulation much better. It helps me with that. It also provides nutrients and feeds the brain, etc. So a food, I love it. Gives me the bread that I want while still being very healthy. So getting something that's low glycemic, complex carbs will help you with that serotonin production, which is key in regulating your seasonal affective disorder. So let's run over those 7 food groups really quick again. You want vitamin D, Delta, vitamin D, omega-3s, probiotics, zinc, vitamin B or Bravo, vitamin Bravo B, and tryptophans, and low glycemic carbs. All of those, if you incorporate them into your diet, will help regulate your serotonin, support your brain health, support your gut health, and help you to have a more wonderful, cozy, rich, beautiful fall and winter season without struggling with that seasonal affective disorder at least as much. This will help combat some of that. Give you some tools in hand that you can focus on to make that better for you. Don't miss out on our very first inaugural newsletter. It's coming out later this week, and if you haven't already, you can sign up for that via the link right below. Looking forward to hearing from you. Hey, my friend, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If so, would you please take 30 seconds and share it with someone you know who may be struggling with depression and anxiety? Also, would you please leave a quick review for the show? Knowing how this podcast is helping you fills my heart with so much joy, and it motivates me for future episodes. For now, it's time for Sam and I to head outside to enjoy some sunshine and fresh air. We'll see you back here on Tuesdays and Thursdays for more great episodes.